events to get us to a certain endpoint. The computer probably gave him an answer saying this is how it has to be to get us to a certain future, and there's no changing it. This also reminds me and kind of plays into the theory about why the United States really invaded Iraq back in 2003. This theory states that, and I believe has more credence than them trying to get weapons of mass destruction, but Saddam Hussein was allegedly trying to activate or harness the power of an ancient Sumerian stargate which he had unearthed, and that the United States government could not permit such technology to end up in the wrong hands because it was aware of its existence. Now, those that believe in this theory believe that this stargate was a portal to another dimension, but what if this stargate was an advanced computer with an advanced form of AI that could tap into other dimensions? Because here's a very interesting quote-unquote coincidence. In the beginning of 2025, Donald Trump gave $500 billion to these tech giants for this, what the public is aware of anyway, the most powerful, most advanced form of AI that just happens to be called Stargate, Project Stargate. Matter of fact, in the beginning of this year, I made a pretty lengthy video about Stargate, the AI Stargate, and how this was something that they discovered as opposed to something that they are building. Now, the data center of Stargate, that is something they built, but I strongly believe that they discovered this Stargate beneath Texas. Matter of fact, what I'll go ahead and do is I'll go ahead and play that video at the end of this video. And just who happens to be at the helm of this Stargate AI? OpenAI Sam Altman, and who was considered to be the richest man in the world briefly anyway, from what we're being told, Larry Ellison. The same Larry Ellison where now news articles are coming out and saying that he is basically the shadow president according to Trump's advisor, and not only that, he now owns the United States TikTok, which is basically mind control on a mass scale, and now he is at, again, the helm of Project Portal, Project Stargate. And like I had shown in my last video, make no mistake about it, he definitely has his own agendas, and with this powerful form of AI and now being in control of TikTok, he can make this agenda come into fruition. And going back to what the Shah of Iran said back in 1976, just putting everything into a computer and getting an answer, which in my own opinion, I take that as AI. If AI plays such a powerful role today, basically a kingmaker, how much of a role had it played back in history? And I'm talking about far history. And like I have said in other videos, what events that people seen on TV, that we saw on TV, that were very horrific, tragic events, may not have played out in the way that we saw on TV. And I'm not even talking about what happened back in 2001, which can be added into this, but I'm talking about events even going back to the 1980s with the Challenger explosion. People all over the world saw it on TV. But then when you research it further, you find out that people had discovered that all of these astronauts that supposedly passed away had twins. Or if they did not have twins, they had very strong lookalikes that had the same names as the astronauts that supposedly passed away in the Challenger explosion.
Help, but first a little backstory. I think we all remember the Challenger explosion that took place in 1986 that tragically took the lives of all 7 astronauts on board. It launched not too far from where we're standing here today. Well, the interesting thing is, a couple decades later, this thing called the internet came about, and someone allegedly found almost all of those astronauts alive and well, many using the same exact names. As you can see here, we have Challenger astronaut Judith Resnick, and also a Judith Resnick Yale law professor. Michael J. Smith, the pilot of the Challenger astronaut, and also a professor at University of Wisconsin, now retired Michael J. Smith. Commander Dick Scobie, who is now president of Cows and Trees. Now, if you'll notice, they all have the exact same faces 30 some odd years later, the same exact name, and they are the same age. Now, we all have a doppelganger out there, right? No big deal. But to have the same face, the same age, and the same exact name is extremely rare. So rare, I could only find one case in the last 120 years. And we're supposed to believe that 3 people from one spaceflight have exact lookalikes that have the same age and same exact names. This, ladies and gentlemen,